Welcome to the Century 21 Leading Edge podcast, where our mission is to give back and provide value to the industry that has been so amazing to all of us. We do this by keeping realtors and the public up to date on what's going on in our industry, growing our collective knowledge as professionals, and most importantly, by giving realtors and brokers everywhere the tools necessary to bring their business to an unprecedented level. So welcome to our 15th podcast. I'm excited to announce a special guest for today's podcast, Chiyoko Kakino, who is from Century 21 Canada. I guess an executive vice president. Is that your official title?
It can be.
It can be. Oh.
It's vice president of marketing, but I just got a promotion.
Vice president of marketing?
Yes.
No. Okay, very good. So we'd like to welcome her to our 15th annual podcast. I'm Paul Barron, the broker of record from Century 21 Leading Edge. And I'll get everybody to introduce themselves as well.
I'm Tasis, one of the owners and managers at Century 21 Leading Edge.
And I'm Anthony Bungaro, partner and manager at Century 21 Leading Edge.
And why don't you tell us your actual official title?
So I'm Chiyoko Kakino, I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Century 21 Canada. I'm actually from Vancouver, so it's so nice to be here with all of you.
Yes, we are very excited to have you here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the new products and stuff that we have from Century 21. But before we do that, we always start our podcast with the most important thing, which is the wine.
Awesome.
So today, what we're doing is, it's unusual actually that we're doing our podcast in the afternoon. So normally we shoot this in the evening, so I thought I would pick a nice afternoon wine for today's event. So what we're looking at today is we are tasting Pinot Noir. And we've actually got a Pinot Noir from Burgundy, we've got a Pinot Noir from Oregon, and then we've got a Pinot Noir from Australia.
Oh, wow.
Which I've actually tried this one already, just got it recently, but it's great, so thought I would bring one. And what's interesting is that I thought I would start with the corks. So today, the Australian Pinot Noir has a screw cap. Okay? Now, what happens is that people used to equate the screw cap with cheap wine, right? This is actually the most expensive bottle of wine of the three.
Oh, wow.
And it comes with a screw cap. So the Australians are not afraid to look at the fact that really the most secure way to secure wine is with a screw cap.
Cool.
So they don't have a lot of heritage where they want to look at that cork and have all the ambiance with the cork. But what's also interesting, if we look at the Burgundy, has a much longer cork than does the one from Oregon. And this is because the French are very much, you would never see a wine, I think, coming out of France that had a screw cap on it. That just would not happen. But the idea is that it is actually great sealing ability and keeps the wine looking good. So what we will do is we'll start with a one from Burgundy, and I will do a little pour. And Steve, if you could do me a favor and just grab me a napkin for the pouring, so I don't get any on anybody. And what we tend to do, Chiyoko, with this wine tasting is we'll pour a couple of the wines to get started, and then we'll go through them as we go. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Make sure I don't get any of that.
Well, it can drip. It's from a glass.
So, Tass, be careful with the glasses, eh?
Yeah.
So we had 15 podcasts, and the last time we had a podcast, we had some breakage. So we're going to also pour.
That's excitement.
The Oregon Pinot Noir, and it's interesting is that I was, always a person that was always talking sort of negative about Pinot Noir from Oregon. I always said to people, nah, I don't like it. And it's interesting that a lot of times what we do is we develop our perception of something, because I tried one. I tried one wine from Oregon, and there's hundreds of them. And I said, no, I don't like...
I don't like Oregon.
What I didn't like is that particular Pinot Noir. So let's start with the Burgundy.
The one on the right here, yeah.
Actually, the
This one here.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's very light.
Not very heavy.
No. So Pinot Noir is a very, very easy drinking grape. I drink mostly red wine. So if I'm having chicken, salmon, I'm having that with a Pinot Noir. I don't go to white very often.
It's good in the afternoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a big Shiraz.
That's right.
That's great.
And if you guys would like
Very
to
nice.
try some, there's 2 glasses up there.
It is kind of light, eh?
Okay.
Would you guys like some?
Yeah, you guys are welcome to try some. Okay, so let's kick off our podcast, and I think that the best way is to take our guest and have her give us a little bit of an overview of the exciting things that are coming out from Century 21.
Great. So where do we even start? Because there's so many exciting things. I think the most exciting thing that has recently happened, of course, was the launch of Core 21.
Yeah.
So for those people out there that don't know what Core 21, it is a big technology and marketing platform that allows agents to be able to generate leads, convert those leads, and provide just a really great level of service for their clients. And we launched, it's actually broken out into like 4 different elements. So I kind of call them buckets, right? So there's 4 buckets underneath Core 21. One of them is a resource center. So this resource center, of course, as you know, it's a library of everything that agents need to know in order to run their business. From everything from social media graphics to training, everything that they have is in this resource center. So we launched that about a year ago. So that was the first thing out of the gate. And then in September, we launched a brand new best-in-class marketing center. And that marketing center allows agents to create customizable marketing pieces so they can sell more homes faster, and it has a lot of things, and we can go in a little bit later if we want into some of the benefits of this marketing center. But the most recent thing that happened at the end of January, and because you're living it right now, is we launched our new website. So we provide, of course, a website for every single Century 21 agent. And it's not just a landing page, it's actually a robust website, right? Yeah. It has multiple pages, it has a property search page, it has a contact us page, it has a get advice page, it has everything that agents need in order to start their website. And definitely it gets them going. So they can customize their website with 3D media, Matterport, video, any information that they want. They can add pages if they want to get more advanced in the website builder. So that's one component. And then we have a lead management system that generates leads off of the website and then puts it into a dashboard so they can make sure that they're providing their clients with the right level of service.
Right. So it's also interesting that I guess in the middle of all that, Century 21 in the US did a complete rebranding. So how did that play into what you were doing with this marketing center and all this kind of stuff?
Right. So we started this. So this project is the largest custom-built real estate platform that's ever been done. So this was a project that we started about 3 years ago, and it's been quite the journey. And in the middle of that 3 years, about 2 years ago, Century 21 decided to update its brand identity. So they updated the logo, they introduced a C21 design icon, they introduced new colors, so it went from just the black and the kind of primary yellow to what we're calling relentless gold, and then obsessed gray, which is about 90% black. So they updated the colors, they updated the logo, and that meant we had to update everything. So we're right in the middle of this project. This gets sprung on us.
And it was fantastic.
So, yeah.
Chiyoko, right? So it was great. Yeah, for sure.
But there is no doubt that
the new branding
is amazing. We have had people from every other brand, compliment us.
Great
just
job.
loving it.
Yeah.
Modern,
Yeah.
up to date,
More fresh.
and just very, very impressed with it.
Good point.
So it has been great.
But
Yeah.
definitely a wrench in the gears for you guys because you had already started your stuff.
Yes, and as Paul said, the new brand is absolutely beautiful. It's smart, it's sophisticated, it's simplistic, right? In our marketing materials, we use lots of white space. Again, it just all looks so much more relevant and contemporary in today's market, making our agent looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but it did throw in a wrench into the whole scheme of things, and we were halfway through the project, and we had to decide to upgrade everything and change the look and feel. So that delayed the project a little bit because we had to take every component, like all of our website designs, all of our CRM marketing, we had to update it with the new brand. So that did cause some extra work, but the extra work, of course, is worth it.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. You know, I think it's interesting that as a Century 21 franchise, we always been a part of the brand for the last 22 years, but we really provided our own sort of presentations and listing presentations, buyer presentations, and we used separate stuff than what was available from Century 21 Canada. And now the stuff is better than anything that we've ever used, and now we're basically customizing the stuff that they're
you guys are
providing, which is just fantastic, and a great compliment to what you guys have done, because we think it's the best.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah,
That's great.
So
That's excellent.
that really works out well. So how are things going with the website launch?
So the website launch has been, again, we continue to go down this journey, and it has been challenging. You know, again, every agent gets a great looking website, and they can go in and customize it. But you know, we want to make sure that we're providing the training so our agents can customize it. So some agents are going to say, you know what, looks great, don't need to do anything, because all of their information, their contact information, their photos, everything is just pulled right into the template. So they really don't have to do anything. But if they want to customize it with their own unique information, then they need to actually go into the back-end system and do that. So we wanted to make sure that we provided the right training. So we have what's called the C21 Assistant, which is virtual training guide for agents. So when they go in the back-end system, they can actually follow a prompt that allows them to learn how to customize it. But as we went through the process and we launched this, we realized that that wasn't enough. So we did about 60 videos on YouTube that helped agents kind of walk through what they needed to do if they wanted to customize it. So, you know, there are some agents out there that are advanced, and there's some really great capabilities that this website has for the advanced user. If an agent's interested in Google Analytics or Facebook Pixels, you can incorporate all that. So it's really advanced, but with an advanced site, you need extra training. So I think that's been probably the challenge, is to make sure that people understand, you know, how to go about and customize their websites. And we have, of course, the internal Facebook groups, as you know, and we are always actively busy trying to answer questions or directing them to a training video. But I think that's been one of the challenges, just the education process. You know, we've been on a system that we were on, I think, for 15 years. And so with change, you know, it's always hard for people to change, right? They're doing things differently. If you think about it like, you know, a software that just decides to update itself, all of a sudden now you're dealing with different buttons and different places. So I think it was just making sure that they have the proper training in order to adapt and transition to this new website. But it's very exciting. Everybody loves the look. I was just down at in LA for the global conference. It's called 121, and we had the #1 agent in the world come from Century 21 Canada. So that was really exciting. So he was down there, of course, because he's being profiled in the world. So we have over 130,000 agents in 83 countries, and the #1 agent in the world came from Canada. So it's really exciting. He came from Red Deer, Alberta. For those of you out there know, Red Deer is a small town, and he was just fantastic. But I was talking to him, and he's, you know, really prides himself on just the basics of real estate, right? Just developing the relationships. But he did tell me that he used to have his own website for years, and he liked so much the look of the new website that now he dropped his old website, and now he's on our platform. So that was really exciting to hear, of course, because that shows you success.
That is perfect.
That's great.
So how are you guys hearing, or what are you hearing from the agents in terms of their, uptake on the
I
new
think
stuff?
that you hit the nail on the head there, Chiyoko. I think that right out of the box, they get a very robust website in comparison to what they had, in comparison to a lot of websites, really. There's companies that just have a page, your name is on the page, that's it, and they say you have a website. That's not a website. This is an actual robust website. I think the challenges have been the same as what you mentioned, where it is not as easy to customize, but it's not as easy to customize because it's more in depth, right? So we've had our concierge department working on that. We've done training programs on that internally, and we're actually looking to bring that to another level with someone internally that the agents can hire to really take it to the next level. If they really want custom work, which a lot of them do, because now they have the capabilities of doing that where they didn't before, right? So now they can really bring it as big and as grand as they want to. So that's I think what the general feedback has been that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
The
if I could-
techies get it right away, and then others are like, okay, I need some help with this.
Yeah, and if I can just, add to that, I think the C21 Concierge program has just been a saving grace.
Yeah.
So as we all know, we have, 300 concierges out there, so one usually per office that provides the one-on-one training with our agents. So I know that you have multiple C21 concierges throughout your 15 or 16 offices, but making sure that they know what they're doing so they can sit down and they can actually go through that process with an agent is really great. And so the program has been successful, especially during transition to a new website platform, right? That's really when agents need kind of that one-on-one support, and Century 21 is always providing that, right? So we have if you want training, on-demand training videos, you can watch the videos. If you want a C21 virtual assistant, do that. But if you want one-on-one support, go to your C21 concierge. Yeah. So the combination of those avenues help our agents make that transition to the new website.
We're huge fans of the concierge. I'm a huge fan of the concierge department. I think that it really filled the gap because I think a lot of realtors, especially on admin things, we're somewhat hesitant to go to their manager sometimes because it's like, I don't want to bother the manager with this, right? So it's that added level between management and I think the agents, the concierge know way more than we do, 1,000%, right? Number one. But number two, I think that the agents are more at ease getting the information from the concierge versus going to their manager for it. So
yeah, I think you're right, Tasis. I think that
huge fan of it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that an agent goes, oh, my broker's way too busy. He works all the time. I'm not going to bother him with this little thing. But with having someone there that they know they can, count on, I think that's.
They know that that's their job, so they don't feel like they're bothering them, right? So,
no, that's good.
But also, we should mention, on the podcast that if you haven't had your concierge appointment, that
Book it.
you talk to your manager,
Yeah.
talk to the front desk. They will reach out to whoever your concierge is for your
Definitely.
office, and they will set you up with an appointment. What I also did is I actually went and had a concierge meeting with each of our concierge to look at how they were different, whether we had consistency going on there, and we're looking at sharing some best practices with the different
That's
concierge because they really all did it a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's interesting, so different personalities and some that I thought would be way better, and it was surprising to see who had, a lot of
Higher
of
skills
great
in
knowledge.
certain level, yeah.
And then as far as the videos are concerned, I think that when we look at, my kids, your kids, Taz, you're not your kids anymore, they're older, but the idea is that anything that we want to know how to do,
Yeah, absolutely.
they just go to the video
100%.
and they figure out how to do it,
Yep.
right? My son invites me to play a game, right? I said, how do you play it? He gives me a couple of tips, and then he kicks my butt, creams me, right? And then I'm saying, how is it that you know? He's watching an hour training video
On YouTube,
on
yeah.
how to play the game on YouTube
Yeah.
before he plays his old man. I don't know,
yeah.
that's unfair. No,
That's that's smart.
I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that people, maybe the generation before us is more apt to do it, but really going to video is the answer. Even my older kids, something simple like changing a light bulb on their car, my son just YouTubed it, right? And I would have figured it, he didn't ask me anything.
Yeah.
He said, I just YouTubed it.
Yeah.
It's 2 minutes, Dad. So, they
But
figure it
we-
out. Videos are fantastic.
But with the diversity of our agents, there's some that can do that, and we're looking at all the things like that C21 offers in terms of that. Just to highlight, the concierge has been an amazing support system. I think the buzzword today too is about lead gen, and the new websites are pointed to have that interactivity, that aspect of you can get lead generation going on your website, because this is what they're told by outside providers, that we're the best thing and we're the best website, but really we have the best setup by Century 21. So yeah, there's the growing pains of the transfer, and we've experienced that, and most people understand that. But I think just highlighting what Tass said, and you had mentioned that some of the capabilities of the web is not just a page, hi, here I am, done. This is to assist the agent in what's the talk about today, how to generate leads. So I think you brought up a good point of how that can happen with the website.
Yeah, and I think it's when I first saw the website, it's actually Morgan Carey, who's the president of Real Estate Webmasters, who is building the platform. He actually sat down with me and it kind of showed me some of the capabilities of this website. And one of the things that was really exciting was that if a client's gone on to an agent's website and registers their name, in the back end, that agent can see every single listing that client has looked at during their visit to their website.
Right.
So what does that mean? Well, that means if I'm an agent and I go and I see all the properties that a client has looked at, because I know I'm the local expert, right? Because I'm an agent. So I'm the local expert and I know, okay, this is what, there's some similarities between the properties that person is looking at, but they didn't look at this property. So then I can actually proactively email that client and say, hey, I see that you're on a website, you registered your name and contact information, and I know you're looking at properties that, have these qualities. Did you check this one out, right? And you can start building that relationship. And I think that is one of the most exciting things, because it's, we know that real estate is all about building relationships. And so this takes technology and actually helps you build a stronger relationship and generate a lead and try to, kind of win them over. So I think that's a really exciting part of the website.
And there's also no doubt that there is a huge amount of information that gets pushed to people. We're constantly bombarded with information. So what I like about that is that we're serving up relevant information.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not like, look at these properties and they're looking in Stouffville and we're sending them properties in Unionville. It doesn't make any sense. So we're sending them relevant information, and I think that is the key, because we only have so much time.
I think we have so much information, Paul, that is the key, right? How do you hone it and get to the point? And like to your point, Chiyoko, if someone you see has clicked on the pictures of the kitchen 50 times and nothing on the backyard, well, guess what?
That's important to them.
That's important to them, right?
Absolutely.
So the key is to get to what is important, because we're bombarded with so much information, right? Pinpointing what's important to a person and having that back end view of that is fantastic.
That's a good set.
Well, and I like that, again, it takes technology and then the human expertise of the agent and puts them together to deliver that gold standard right, experience. So I think that's the exciting part.
And then when we were in Mexico, I think that Morgan was talking about the number of leads that were generated with the new site compared to the old site. And I think that it had already doubled in the first week on a daily basis from what they were generating prior. And I was running some projections, right, because I like to deal with the numbers. And if we look at, getting to 2,000 leads a day, if that can be achieved, which I think we're well on our way to that, it can mean $60,000 or $60 million. Sorry, $60 million in commission to agents. So it is a huge factor, and we need to embrace that. There's no doubt about it. So let's move away from the Central 21 stuff. We can come back to it and add some more stuff later. But let's talk a little bit about the marketplace, what's happening out there, maybe look at some stats. What are you finding out there from the agents in the marketplace?
Well,
Anthony?
on the streets, what's happening is that there's still a lower inventory as per the past, and we compare that as we do, and you're excellent with the stats and can share that. But when the inventory is low, I'm going to use the old saying, supply and demand kicks in. So what's happening with the agents, and it seems like a repeat, it might be an anomaly because this happened in 2017, but what's happening is when they're obtaining listings, they're starting to offers will be on Tuesday at such and such a date. And you're asking from a manager standpoint, I'm getting the phone calls, how do I handle this? There was 12 offers. There are 6 offers, to be fair. So we're going back to that.
Yep.
Now, in a positive sense, this is great. List properties. Some of our trainers and have used that this is like winning the lottery. Talk to your clients. When I say win the lottery, it means you want to sell. This is the right time to sell. You're a winner. You're an absolute winner. Get your house on the market. But there's that window. So, in one way, I say this is great. The other side of me sees the frustration, Paul, in that when you have great agents that we do have that pre-qualify, and then when they're on that side of the fence working for the buyer, it's very frustrating because you're a great agent, you're very professional at negotiating, you obtain an offer, and then you find out there's 12 offers or 6 offers. It's like, now what do I do? Do I forgive? Maybe I have to go in firm. Okay, they're pre-approved. Now they're not doing the inspection, and they're going way over asking. So I understand the frustrating side of it, and that bothers me because I know what it's like. How do I give a service to a buyer today? But, in terms of your question, how am I seeing it? I'm trying to see it, that is positive. The sales are cranking up. There's a shortage of listings. In projection, the listings will continue to rise, and it may do that level off, perhaps as early as June. But right now, I'm just saying, get as many listings as you can. Get the listings, and then we're going to help the agents stick handle through it.
Right.
Yep.
What are you finding, Tess?
I agree 100% with Anthony. I think that I know the stats, and I'm sure you'll share the stats, Paul, but the number of sales is up, the inventory is down, and the prices are up. So it really is basic economics. But on a street level, what we're hearing from a management side is exactly what you said, Anthony. So in the last 2 weeks, 14 offers on a property, 13 offers on a property. Okay, fine, this specific one was really the sweet spot. It was, 800,000 in 416 area code, which is hard to find, but still, they had 100.
Did it already sell, or can I still bid on it?
No, it sold on a bully offer. So this is someone who was likely happy to get 850 in the fall, but delayed. He said, "Oh, you know what? I want to do a couple of things to the house." Thank God he did for his own sake. So in 4 days, had 136 showings. Got a bully offer that they couldn't say no to, and they sold it, over 900. So that tells you, like, 136 showings in 3 or 4 days is insanity. Like that's a lot of people.
They want to buy.
But like I said, it really was the sweet spot, right? Under $1 million in the city.
Price below, right?
Exactly. But we're seeing a lot of that and a lot of multiple offers.
Makes you kind of
and it does come with frustration for, obviously,
right.
That's great for the listing agents, but we're hearing the
buyers.
same story from the buying agents that, okay, not this again. I called, there's already 13 offers, right? So
not easy. And only one person gets it.
Exactly. But it is a robust market, is what it's telling me. The market is active, that's for sure.
So let's look at some of the things that we can do to combat that. So one of the things that we're doing at Century 21 Leading Edge is that we're really working very hard with a lot of the builders. There is a lot of builders that are providing that missing middle. We just did a project with Lake and Towns out here in the West End, and this is the $650,000 to $800,000 range for a stacked townhouse. But here's the challenge: there was 200 units available. There was 500 worksheets submitted on those 200 units. But we did get access to some of it, and we did submit 22 worksheets. We're waiting to see what our allocation is. But if you can't find stuff in the resale market, then that may be a good place for you to look. So we as a company continue to look at trying to get access, trying to get actual allocation. I've probably got a meeting a week. I know you've been on a few where we're trying to get access to those projects. So I'll just give a little bit of an overview of the numbers. And Trab just put out these numbers today. So this is, I don't have them memorized yet, so I'll read them for you guys. So we have the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. So we changed our name to the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. In February, home sales were up 45.6% compared to the same month last year.
Yeah.
Now, last year, it was a 10-year low.
Yeah.
So we're going from a low, but up 45.6%. The board says that there were 7,256 homes sold last month through the MLS system, and that compares to 4,982 in February of 2019.
Wow.
So that's after they do some now seasonal adjustments, and that's still a 14.8% increase compared to January. So not compared to February last year, but compared to January, 14.8% increase. And it's interesting that when we look at the marketplace, a lot of times agents have clients that are looking at waiting for the spring, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the weather is, the spring is here, right?
is now.
When there is this much demand. If you are retiring, if you're moving to the outskirts, if you're able to buy
Now's the
in a
time.
regular market
Yeah.
and sell in a frenzied market, you should do that, right? So please call any of our office numbers and ask for a listing agent to come and list your property. We will look after that for you. Now, the other thing that is scary is that the average price rose from $780,000 in February last year to $910,000 in February of this year.
Wow.
Average price.
Wow.
So significant increase in that.
Yeah.
Now, we talk about inventory being low. When we look at the actual numbers, inventory is a little bit higher, okay? Which is good, right? It's still a little bit higher, is not nearly enough. If there's 10 or 8 offers on a listing, we need to have 25,000 listings. But for the month, we had 10,613 listings, new listings, which is up from 9,834 in the month, same month last year. So a small increase in listings. What's also interesting is that the board is forecasting 97,000 transactions for 2020. So you guys need to, look at what percentage of that do you want, right?
Yeah.
That's the pie that's available. So let's look at what we can get from that.
That's an impressive number.
Yeah, because I guess it was 87,000 for 2019, which was, I think the forecast for 2019 was in like the 85,000 range, so it was slightly above that, but they have certainly upped the projection for that. So what other things are we telling our agents or doing with our agents to help them with this challenge?
I think educating, having the agents go to their clients and educating them on where the market's at. Surprisingly, a lot of the public, they're behind maybe 2 or 3 or 4 months in what's actually happening, right? So if you looked at somebody, and we discussed this at my office meeting yesterday, if you looked at somebody that was on the market in the fall and didn't sell, 100% you should be talking to them, because in all likelihood, the house that was 10,000 overpriced or 20,000 overpriced in the fall and didn't sell
right now.
is priced right, assuming that they're still in that same price range, Anthony.
Yeah.
And sometimes people are, they're stuck. They say, this is the number
what I
I
need.
have to get.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get it in November, but chances are you will get it if you go on the market now. So that was part of the discussions we had, was going back to those clients and educating them that the market is much more robust now than it was in the fall. So if you still are in the market to sell, then that now is a great time to do it, right?
I couldn't agree with Tasis anymore on calling your clients, calling your database, calling your past clients. There's absolutely no doubt about it, but I feel compelled to say that when we do our training, because we're very, very strong in trying to make our agents as professional and as productive as possible, so we have a tendency to, I don't want to say push, that's not the right language, assist our agents to be a well-trained agent So, and the good trainers often say things like, doesn't matter what the market is. Doesn't matter if the interest rates are high. Doesn't matter if the interest rates are low. Doesn't matter if the prices are down. Doesn't matter. You got to get out and do the numbers. You got to do prospecting. So I feel absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But I would say, as an organization, I'm very proud to say that we offer a lot of ongoing training, coaching, education to be a better agent, to sharpen your notch, and to go through that. So even
regardless of market, is
that's
what
right.
you're saying. Yeah.
So as frustrating, I'm going to call it as it is now, don't give up the fact that you got to listen to the coach. Don't give up the fact that you got to sharpen the wrench. Don't give up the fact that, oh, the website's new, I don't have time to do that. This is a no, no, and a no. The yes is the agents that are trained are more productive. So there's no doubt about exactly what you're saying, but I feel compelled to say I encourage not to give up the fact that you should go to the classes, go to the systems, go to the coaching.
Right, absolutely. Now, Chiyoko, I
Absolutely.
know that you are the technology person, so what do we have with the new technology platform that you have seen agents use to help them to get more of a market share? Do you have
Right.
people using things? So relate it back to
absolutely.
you. Right?
So one of the things I talked about with the core, underneath the Core 21 umbrella, of course, is our brand new best-in-class marketing center.
Right.
And so that marketing center allows agents to go in and create professional, beautiful marketing pieces that they can use in order to sell more homes faster. So, it's all integrated with the MLS, so they can pull in all the information and it automatically populates. But one of the great things, and I know, Anthony, you talked about prospecting, right? So how do you get your name out there more often? So we have a section in the marketing center that's called self-promotional materials. And so we have a self-promotional brochure in there. We have postcards, everything an agent needs in order to get their brand out there more, right? We've got the Century 21 brand, but also an agent has their own brand. So they can create these customizable pieces, put in any reviews they've got, testimonials, they can put in information on themselves, their experience, any awards that they've won, and then they can actually just send it directly to UPS to print, and then they can go out to different neighborhoods, right? Put them in the mailboxes. Do whatever you need to do. If you're at a community event, you might want to, get a stand or a kiosk and start handing these things out and start talking to people, right? It's about building that awareness, and that's one of the components that is great about the Marketing Center. The other thing is that we launched an additional resource section in the Marketing Center that hosts a whole bunch of other resources like listing presentations, so pre-listing and listing presentations. We have buyer presentations both in PowerPoint and Google Slides. So if an agent is, going on that listing presentation, that they look as professional as possible, so they really wow that client, and that client really decides that they want to go with this agent. So we have all that. We also have a new printable one. So if they wanted to create a printed listing presentation and leave it behind, again, we're trying to create the gold standard in the experience that they have the ability to do that. So it's finding all of the tools that they need in order to make a great impression. And one of the great things about Century 21 is that there's this family culture, right? Everyone's collaborative. Everybody wants to help each other. And I'm really, really lucky that I have a lot of great connections with a lot of the C21 realtors, and they have been very involved in developing the pieces with us. So then we're not providing them something that they're like, I don't know what she's thinking, right? It's like we're actually providing them the things that they need and the information they want to share with their client, because they know best, right? They are working directly with the clients all the time. And so it's been really nice that it's been this collaborative effort in getting their feedback and continuing to improve in all the different pieces. And I think that's the best thing. So those are just some, I can keep talking about a whole bunch more things, but those are the kind of key things.
I think that's great. And I think that the message is that when the market is tight, sometimes people throw up their hands and say there's no point.
Right.
And the truth is that that's the time that you need to roll up your sleeves
Absolutely.
and use these tools.
Yep.
You've got these things available to you,
Right.
so let's use them, right?
for sure.
And it gives you the advantage, because if we're going to have 97 transactions, that means 97,000. There's 97,000 listings. There's going to be 97,000 sales,
Buyers,
right?
yep.
So who's going to get them? And what it comes down to is who is going to show the best value proposition. And what we have with these tools is the ability to show a better value proposition. Now, I will tell you, Chiyoko, that if you look at the three of us, do you notice how we have one glass empty?
Well, I'm talking the most.
You're the new kid on the podcast, but you need to finish one of those glasses so that we can go to the third one.
All right.
You should have brought 3 glasses.
We don't have 3 glasses. Now, we also want to I've already finished my...
I broke the other glasses, Chiyoko.
Yeah, maybe
yes.
someone just needs to get me a third glass.
No, you gotta drink one. So now we want to try the one that you haven't tried yet. So now
Okay.
this is the Oregon
fuller one here.
Pinot Noir. So
The second one was the Oregon,
Oh,
Paul?
look.
yes,
This
the
is
first
the
Get a
Oregon.
third glass.
Yeah, the second one is the Oregon. Yeah,
I thought that was gonna be the last one.
No,
So I was just about to compliment this one. So I do prefer the second one over the
I like
first
the
one.
smell of this one.
Yeah, it's got more-
Yeah.
It's interesting because I
If you-
wouldn't guess Oregon.
You do the nose thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Note
now
this
that you
is
said the second one
bouquet.
is the Oregon, it's quite nice.
There's more bouquet.
yeah, so,
Wow.
and it is interesting that a little bit of a different climate, and you tend to get a little bit more fruit. That's what I
Absolutely,
taste in
yeah.
that second one.
Absolutely,
There's a
yeah.
little bit more fruit
Yes,
forward in
yes,
it.
absolutely.
And for a lot of people, that's what they like. That's a little bit more New World, and we may find when we go to the third one that maybe there's even more fruit from Australia, because Australia is known for their Shirazes mostly,
Right.
but very much overly fruity wine from Australia in general. So, seeing as you guys have an empty glass,
Okay.
and Chiyoko somehow has a new glass that showed up.
It's arrived.
I know, just, yes, for
The
somebody
magic
to
of
sit
video.
here. This is Century 21, you get whatever you want.
There you go. So I'm going to pour a bit of that third
It's not
wine.
always what you know, it's who you know.
It's who you know.
Pour a bit
I
of
don't want
that
to get
third
these
one.
confused
And
here.
don't get them mixed up.
No, I'm
You
not
gotta-
going to. I like the order that you've given them to me, too. The flavor works in
There
this
you go.
order.
There you go.
You're right.
Perfect. So
Okay,
let's
this is
even
the
try
Australian.
the Australian Pinot Noir. And this the Australians always like to call things.
Oh, wow.
This is Giant Steps from Wombat Creek Vineyard.
I don't know.
Like to try some?
It is
Don't be
different.
shy.
It
Come
is-
on
it
over with your
is
glass.
different.
Come on over with your glass. Then listen,
Can
I know-
you tell the
I know-
difference
We got a
from
new,
the other
new,
one?
new filming crew. They're shyer than the old guys. Bring the
a bit
glass. Bring the
deeper,
glass
or
over.
I don't know.
Which one would you like to try?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know what the
You can
right
try them
word
all.
is.
They're all my favorite. They're all for myself.
if you
We'll
want
start with this
light,
one. Here,
the first
we'll
one
start
is
with this one.
light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give.
This
They're
is
all.
different,
They're all light. So I'll give you a
can
little bit
feel
of
it
that
more
one.
when you
You
swirl.
try that
operating
one,
the
and then you
camera,
come back
so
and try the next one. Don't be shy. No problem.
Kyle's first appearance on the podcast.
That's right. Hey, Kyle. We always like to have a great shout out to Vendetta Media for the great job that they do. We have a couple of new film crew guys today. I don't think I've met you guys before, right? So you guys give us some feedback and let us know if this podcast looks any different, or maybe it looks better. But that might just be because Chiyoko's on it.
Oh, yes. I always look good when I'm with her.
There you go. So what do we think of the
I don't know what the language is. It's,
English? Is the best language that we,
no, like I use the wrong words. I say deeper or, he's laughing. So I told
A
you.
little bit more.
It feels like it
Full
doesn't got
body,
legs.
yeah, full
I think the Oregon is the winner in my mind anyways, for my taste.
the one that I discounted as no good
Yeah.
originally, right? And then
Yeah.
I have all kinds
It's
of...
really interesting,
It's
Paul,
got a
because
lot
if I
more
were,
going on.
not that I know enough about wine, but if I were picking wine and I saw Oregon, I'd be, whatever, right?
I'm with you. Like,
So-
it wouldn't even dawn on me to pick
Yeah.
a wine from Oregon.
But out of the three, the Oregon one is
It's
my
got a lot
favorite.
more going on in your mouth when you drink it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that the Oregon is my favorite of these three as well. But it's also interesting to go a little bit later and then
Yeah.
try them again. You know how
Yeah,
how that plays out. The other thing that's interesting is that a lot of times when we're doing our wine tasting, we'll have a decanter for each of the
Yes.
wines. And you see, I don't have any decanters today.
Yes.
And that's because a Pinot Noir is a lighter grape. They don't really press it with the skin, so it's not as tannic. So it doesn't really need that aeration. And you usually drink it a little bit younger as well. and there's also not a lot of sediment, or usually not any sediment in it. So you
Interesting.
decant to get rid of sediment or to have those tannin soften, but Pinot Noir is a very untannic grape, so you don't need to bother with the decanting. And
Very
for an
interesting.
afternoon tasting, that was a whole lot easier. Usually I'm carting my 3 decanters and getting that all organized.
Excellent.
So let's go from the wine to, I guess, the announcement today that the Bank of Canada cut its trend-setting interest rate by 0.5 point.
Wow.
And this is a decision based on, basically the coronavirus. And
The economic,
effect
the economic
that's
effects
having
of
on
that.
the economics. And is that something that should have been done? Certainly when you look at the multiple offers on the real estate and, a cut to that interest rate. And it's also interesting that when people say, a 0.5 point cut to the Bank of Canada rate, the mortgage rates are down. They don't necessarily equate,
hand in
right? They don't equate necessarily, right? And in fact, it just may mean that the banks will make more profit and they won't reduce the rates. I don't know. I haven't heard any of the banks announce yet, but it doesn't always come into play. But what do you guys make of that? The coronavirus as well as Bank of Canada? Any talk in the office on that?
With the rate, Paul, I think that their concern obviously is, across the board. So they're not just saying, okay, how does this affect real estate? Their view is, how does this affect our dollar? How does this affect imports, exports?
economy.
The economy, right? So I agree with you. I think from a real estate standpoint, if that translates to reduced rates, it's going to heat up the market even more, right? Which is likely not what the government wants, because they did a whole bunch of measures to do the opposite, right? But I think they're looking at it more as a more global view of, this is what we need to do to keep the economy going with the concerns with the coronavirus, or whatever it's called now, COVID-19, right? So, I think there's a lot of talk about that. I think a little bit overblown, to be quite honest with you. I think when you look back at what are numbers in other things like the common flu, they're way higher than this, right? It's not
true.
Transmitted as easily as the common flu, is what they've said now, which is great. And the reality of it is, we need to carry on with our lives, right? So I think panic is the wrong thing, right? We need to carry on with our lives and wash our hands, count to 20 twice, right? Right, Chiyoko? Or
Sing
say happy birthday.
Sing
twice?
happy birthday.
Happy birthday twice.
21.
21? 21, yes.
21
Sorry, there you
seconds.
go.
Wash your hands for
Oh,
21 seconds, everyone.
So
And spread the word.
that's what I think is going to happen with the rate. But it's interesting to see, will it equate to reductions in mortgage rates? I think it probably will, Paul, right?
Right.
Or like you said, the banks could just decide, okay, let's just make more money, right? So.
And what are you hearing from the agents and stuff in the office? Are agents talking about it? Is it a concern? Are people not listing as a result of this, or do we not see that?
I haven't seen it, Paul. I haven't seen it, and certainly it's a very recent announcement with the rates. In terms of mortgage business, the biggest announcement for us, even though it might be a little bit just perception, was with the stress test. So we're trying to train our agents about how that's a marginal difference and marginally better. But I would guess that if they drop the Bank of Canada 0.5 point, you'll start seeing a little touch up on the rates. They never seem to, as you said, just
10, 20 basis
Yeah, it might be a
points.
little bit of a touch up,
Yeah.
or we got a special now on a 5-year. So we'll see that. But with the new stress test rules, even if some of it's just perception, this is going to be beneficial for the real estate market.
Right. And what about the coronavirus and talk about that in the office? Is that
There's been some talk, but in my office, we haven't heard a lot about it, Paul. I think the media has played it up, and maybe rightfully so, but there's been no talk for panic.
right?
No talk for panic at all in our office.
And what do you think from head office standpoint? What are we hearing?
Yeah, so I'm not hearing much from other, Century 21 offices, of course, but I think just because I've been traveling a lot, right? So since this kind of hit the media, I've been to LA, I've been here to Toronto, from Vancouver, of course, and it's been an interesting experience because you're at an airport, right? And we all I think we all get a little bit worried when we go on planes because we think we're going to get a cold anyhow, right?
Yeah.
And so now this plays into it, and it was very interesting because when I left to go to actually I went from Vancouver to Toronto to LA, back to Vancouver and back to Toronto, and that's where I am now. But it was interesting because in the Vancouver, so this goes back a couple weeks ago, in the Vancouver airport, you had the odd person wearing, a mask. Of all the employees there, I maybe saw 2 employees with masks on, and they're saying the masks aren't going to help anyhow. But, unless people have colds, then they should wear it to, not spread any germs. When I was down in LA, because they had 2 days before I came back home to Vancouver, they had actually diagnosed someone with the coronavirus down in LA, in a flight attendant that was on flights from Korea to LA, right? So I thought there was going to just be a whole bunch of people wearing masks, or just because again that's just it's a false sense of security, but it's a security, right? And there wasn't a lot of people when I left there a couple of days after. So and again came back to Vancouver for a few days, then came here, and I would probably say that the Vancouver airport people on the plane wore more masks than people in LA. But again, it's again, and I hope these people are having colds, and that's why they're protecting everyone, because it's not really going to work if you're trying to protect yourself. But as you say, wash your hands, right? Yeah. And just be careful, I think, and make sure that, if you are sick, to kind of stay at home, right? We can do business now from our homes, right, with video conferencing and all these things. So you don't need, whether you have a cold or you have anything, there's no need to come in and to spread it around. Right. So I think that's the key thing, is if you're not feeling well, take a couple of days, get some rest, right?
That's the best advice, exactly, right? Stay home. If you think that you have a cold, forget about the virus in general, right? Why are you going to come to your workplace and sneeze all over the...
sneeze on your hands and touch the doors and everything.
Precisely.
Yeah,
precisely.
and I'm a big supporter, of course, wellness and taking care of yourself, and I think it's important all the time to eat healthy, get some exercise, get some sleep. That's a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't have time for sleeping. Well, sleeping, you're rebuilding when you're sleeping, you're detoxing when you're sleeping, right? So I know we're not here to talk about health and wellness, but I think it's the whole.
So we'll talk about Chiyoko.
Just a
Workout.
Workout challenges and stuff like that. Who here wants to challenge Chiyoko on the push-ups? I'm teasing.
I know. But I think that again.
You do, Steve? Yeah.
No. I nominate Kyle. But you said you had a conference call at 2:45.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. We started late. We
rolling.
started late. What is our time number?
So we're just hitting the hour mark right
Okay.
now, and it's 2:42.
Okay. Yeah. It's on the conference call. They're taping it anyway.
Oh,
so
okay.
I will.
Do we have questions, Steve?
We do absolutely have questions. Are you guys ready to hear some?
Sure. Let's hear some questions.
All right, fantastic. Let's pull them out.
Hopefully we've answered them all already.
I think you've covered a couple of them. One of them that came in was asking about the Bank of Canada dropping the rate by 50 basis points. I know you guys already elaborated on that. The specific question they had coming in is what kind of impact you feel like that's going to have on the market. Would you guys like to elaborate on that additionally, or do you feel like you've pretty much covered that?
Yeah, I think that it will, just flame or fan the flames on what we've got. So it will not help anything with regards to things being overheated. It will fan it, and it will be even more overheated. And even a bigger reason to get out there and get listings and get working on that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to add on that, guys? Or
No, I think that's right on the money.
okay. What other questions do we have, Steve?
So the other question that has definitely come up before, but it's kind of a popular one, and I think the fact that Chiyoko was going to be here motivated this one a little bit more. So somebody asking just some of the differentiators, and it would be great to hear your opinion on this, Chiyoko. That Century 21 offers versus they use names. We'll just say some of the other brands.
Right. So is that question, do you think that if I'm an agent, what am I talking to a client? How am I differentiating the brand and what I do as a Century 21 agent from other agents, or more in the industry?
I think it's general the way it was written, but I think it's a two-part question. Definitely coming from an agent. So number one, how's it going to help impact their
business as a brokerage?
Exactly. And in addition to that, I mean, that kind of covers all of it, but on a more granular level, definitely looking at what kind of value adds they can provide a client that maybe the next agent won't be able to.
Right. So there's a lot of value adds, and we talked about, how do you win out there? And it's to provide your clients with the best value possible. So there's a number of things that Century 21 does. Number one, it always makes sure, Century 21 provides a lot of training programs to make sure that an agent's skills are always kept up to date, right? So, and again, all the brokerages are adding additional training programs on top of the base programs that Century 21 provides. So making sure that they know how to deal with situations, making sure that they know how to really grow their business and provide that best level of service for their clients. So that's definitely one end, making sure that they're, the expertise, the local expertise. But the other thing is, Century 21 has this extended reach. So I was, again, being down at the global conferences, you really can feel how big Century 21 is. Again, the most up-to-date numbers was 83 countries and 132,000 agents. So not only does that give you a referral network around the world, because we know today buyers come from everywhere, but we also have a century21global.com site. So if a client goes with a Century 21 agent, their listing automatically gets put onto the global site that's available in 36 countries and in 18 languages. Not only that, we of course are partnered up with Zillow. And Zillow is the largest rental and real estate marketplace in North America. Actually, it's funny, they say that the word Zillow are Googled more often than the words real estate. And so, that partnership, again, if you partner with a Century 21 agent, that listing gets to Zillow too as well. And again, Zillow, they have 100 million visits a month. It's quite incredible. So just bringing, if I was an agent and I was sitting, in front of a client, I would talk about the extended reach that Century 21 has as a brand, because we are global and we have these strong strategic partnerships. I think that's a real key differentiator with the brand, in addition to the training, in addition to making your property look great, because we've got great, marketing brochures and property feature sheets and everything.
Yeah, let me interrupt you just to talk about the Zillow stuff.
Yeah.
So I was reading an article looking at the effects of Zillow in Canada. So they were looking at, for 12 years they've been fighting it in the US and trying to keep Zillow out. And really that's not been possible. They haven't been successful. Everybody has embraced it. And a friend of mine that is in one of the T360 programs that I'm in, he doesn't pay any advertising dollars to Zillow, and he did 60 transactions from Zillow last year.
Wow.
And he did that because he has built out his profile on Zillow. Yeah. He has set up his testimonials on Zillow. He has utilized the platform, and the platform has more eyeballs than anybody else. And when we look at our brand as a leader, our brand made a decision to embrace Zillow. And obviously they talked at Sherman Circle and we made it as a collective decision. But the differentiation in the Canadian marketplace is that the other big brand, Royal LePage, right, not to mention any names, took the exact opposite position. They said that Zillow is in fact the devil and that we should not embrace Zillow. And I was reading this article that said, really the competitor Redfin, which is a real estate company that has the second best website in North America next to Zillow, is really the one that we should be concerned with, because they're not providing or selling leads to us. So the decision for Century 21 to embrace Zillow was, in my view, a very intelligent, smart decision.
Yep.
And what we need from there is for our agents to embrace it, do the things that we're telling you to do with it, because there is value in that. And this article basically said that that other brand is not on the ball. They're not. In fact, they use harsher words than that to say that they were letting their agents down because they were taking this thing as that we're going to push this away. The idea is that there's things out there, embrace them.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going away.
Yeah.
You might as well
away.
embrace them. So I just wanted to interrupt just to add that to the Zillow conversation, but please
Yeah.
continue with that.
So,
Chiyoko.
and I think, Paul, you brought up something that's really, really important. And, we've been doing this tour at Century 21 called the C21 Up Close and Personal Tour. And we go to different office events and we talk about, this year, our theme is 21 Tips for Success. And tip number 1 is really leveraging the technology, right? Making sure your profiles are up to date, we've got all these technology tools, but if you don't really leverage them to help build your business, then they're really doing nothing. So in an instance like, Zillow is go in there and update your profile, make sure your photo is in there, right? Testimonials, they're saying on Zillow to generate at least 10 testimonials, and that will help you, generate more leads. So it's really taking that technology and making sure that you take the time, because some of this only takes 15 minutes to activate, right? And to get it looking like it's professional. But I think that's real key, is not only with Zillow, but any of our other technology platforms like Back at You Media or Real Satisfied, is just make sure that your information is up to date, your profile looks good, talk about yourself, make sure you look good online. I think that's really critical as we do that.
And just to interrupt you again, so the other thing is that the role of the concierge that we have is to take all those things that Chiyoko just said and show you how to set them up. So to walk you through that. And, everybody, I think we've probably had a quarter of our agents have a concierge appointment, and the rest of them need to be doing that as well. So
Absolutely.
very, very
They
important.
actually sign them up for them. So our goal, Chiyoko, is especially with a brand new agent joining us, is we say schedule 2 hours with your concierge, because the goal is every tool that we provide, we want you leaving that meeting actually set up. And some of them might not even have Facebook, but the concierge says, okay, I'm going to set you up with a Facebook page right now so that we can do these other things, right? So that's been fantastic. I think the goal, again, is really not just showing it, but actually sitting down and say, okay, it's done, now you can run with it. Because it's so easy for an agent to say, okay, I got so many other things, this is all new, I'll come back to that, right? So, the tools are excellent if you use them. So, and the concierge is making sure that that's happening. So
and all the tools, they all do so many different things, right? And we talk about lead generation with Zillow. We've got Real Satisfied, which is a review platform that agents can use, right? And not only does that help to generate leads and convert those leads, because I've heard tons of stories of agents that go on a listing presentation and they start their pitch, and the person says, I've decided to work with you. And they you have? And they go, yeah, I read all your testimonials on Real Satisfied, and I've already made my decision. So they didn't even have to continue with the listing presentation, right? Correct. So that goes to show you, but not only that, it gives you so much analytics. If you want to provide a better level of service to your clients, you get all these analytics that talks about all your strengths and shows you the areas that you need to work on to provide that best in class experience to your clients. And so, the different tools work in so many different ways, but if you really leverage the technology, it really actually makes you a better realtor. And I strongly believe in everything that we offer, and it's super, super exciting.
It makes your life easier, like you said.
It makes you better.
Everybody is online checking out everybody. So if your presence there is great and you've done everything that you're supposed to do, then just walking in the door is enough sometimes, because they've already decided, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a ghost figure online and you don't exist, or, it's something as simple as someone sends you a Facebook friend request and they don't even have a picture. I don't accept them, because I think, who is this, right? So can you imagine now you're gonna meet a realtor and you go online and there isn't even a picture of the realtor. You're thinking, well, does this person really exist? Who are they, right?
Yeah. So. And I think with the brand and the company is we're trying to make everything that we provide is not only trying to make them more efficient and helping them build their business, but we're trying to make it as simplistic as possible for them, right? So everything's single sign-on, everything's integrated with each other, right? Every platform that we provide is to make them more efficient and give them more time so they can do what's best, which is actually taking care of their clients, right? Again, one of the brokers said, and Joel Ives, he said to me, real estate is a belly-to-belly business, right? So, we want those relationships to get stronger. So we take care of all the technology, right? And we just hand it to them and let them run with it. And again, utilize the technology to make you a better realtor. But one of the key things is it being simplistic and allowing the agents to do what they're great at, which is dealing with the client.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And thank you, Century 21.
Yay!
Yes, that's right, that's right.
Well put.
Absolutely. So I know that we had some more questions, Steve, but I think that we're gonna cut it off at this. There's always next podcast, right? We need to save something
more
for next
questions.
podcast. I want to point out to you guys to try that Australian Pinot again. I think that it is evolving a little bit out of that glass. I just want to get your view, what you see
One last time.
as
Cheers, everyone.
difference going on there.
Australian fruity.
It does taste different than
Yeah.
It
when we
does.
first tried
It
it.
does.
So what I see with that one, to put words in Anthony's mouth,
Yes.
is I see that one as having the most potential to age and to evolve, right? So sometimes
Like
when
me.
you're, like you,
Yeah.
that's right. So sometimes with wine, you look at, what can happen with that evolution of that wine and how is it going to be later, right? And a lot of times I'll have wine in my cellar for 20 years, 25 years, and I'll try them, at 5-year intervals, and you have a different,
Do you make notes, Paul, if that's the
what?
case?
So I will tell
That's
you
a
that I
good one.
used to have, I'm a scuba diver, so I'm a licensed scuba
wow, I
diver.
didn't know that.
Yes.
Under the
And-
water?
Fun fact.
Under the water,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And I used to have these dive records until my wife saw the dive records. And she's reading them and making fun of me. Then I stopped keeping my record. So I used to keep some notes on it.
On the
Now it's just all in my mind, or alleged mind, right?
Alleged mind.
I really, and you asked me a question about wine. I can usually remember, right? I remember. I know what I served at the year-end party. I know what wines were served at our golf tournament. Absolutely,
Because he knows the wine.
I know my
good,
my
Paul.
stuff there. So I just wanted you to try that one again.
Yeah, no, that's
And
great.
I just want to thank Chiyoko Kakino from Century 21 Canada for gracing us with her presence today.
Well, it's been
and,
fun.
and helping us to understand a little bit better what we have available with the Century 21 system. And this is a work in progress, so we are continuing to work on that, and we will see Chiyoko out in Toronto again.
I will.
And hopefully telling
I
us
love it here.
telling us more. So thank
Absolutely.
you very much. I
Thank
really
you,
really
thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Chiyoko.
And
It's been
thank
so
you,
much.
Chiyoko.
Thanks, Tasis.
Thank you.
And so I'll just sign off. I'm Paul Barron, broker of record, Century 21 Leading Edge.
Tasis Giannakakis, manager and owner at Century 21 Leading Edge.
Anthony Bungaro, manager and partner at Century 21 Leading Edge.
And I'm Chiyoko Kakino, Vice President of Marketing from Century 21 Canada. Thank you so much.
And
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, and thanks, Vendetta.
Thank you.
Cheers.